love coming here. I'm going to start bringing a pot of coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I can make coffee.
No,
I would take coffee.
I would, if you, sir, I will have, if you're making coffee, I'll have coffee for sure.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Truth Ache. Yeah, I got recruited this week, actually.
Shut up.
Yeah, I got recruited twice in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to tell you about these.
I want to know, is this Amazon on your cell phone saying we've got a job for you at
No. These are top-level executive jobs. These are big-time jobs.
I want to hear about this.
So the first one was somebody reached out and said, hey, we're looking for someone for an executive role that is for an established company. Your profile stood out as someone that might be a good fit for this. Wanted to find out if you were interested in considering something. Cool. And I was like, okay, well, tell me more. And they said, okay, this is a CMO position for a company called Adobe. And
sorry.
and we're looking for these things that are all listed on your LinkedIn profile or whatever.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, can I ask you why so-and-so is leaving the position? Because it's a big enough company that it's public information.
It's Adobe. Come on.
And then I stopped getting replies.
Wow.
Right? But I played back and forth with her for a minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is spam, but I'm going to just see.
Yeah.
So anyway, needless to say, I didn't end up getting that job.
Yeah. You're still here.
But I'm still open. And then the next one, this next one came through and it was a human.
Okay.
So this was someone who was, reviewing, so a lot of the recruiters, they're digging through LinkedIn and maybe other sources as well to kind of see who fits the profile of the job I'm trying to fill.
Yep.
And they'll cold call you in some way through email or whatever. So I get this message and it's to the previous one was to like, it had multiple emails of mine and then some emails that weren't mine, but they had my name in it in some way. So I was like, okay, this is probably spam.
Uh-huh.
Well, this next one was not spam. So, this guy reaches out and he says, we're looking to fill some executive positions or executive or senior level, not all exclusively executive, and wanted to find out what you're interested in. And I said, I would be most compelled by these criteria. And so he says, okay, well, we have something that we think would be the right fit for you that, it sounded like this was the job that he was reaching out for. And he says it's going to pay, a salary that was a number that was acceptable, but not, acceptable for a conversation, but not like going to change the world.
Yeah. Not life changing.
And then I was like, okay. And it's a CMO position at an established software company, but it was a name that maybe was familiar, but I hadn't really didn't know this company.
Right. And
so I was like, okay, this
you.
sounds like this might actually be real.
Wow.
So, we've got our, for the listener, we've got our
and the viewers
fresh coffee from Mrs. Truthache.
Thank you, Mrs. Truthache. Thank you.
So I get this, we go down the road talking back and forth about what a good fit for this role is. And the position sounded like, something I would definitely consider. And it would be sort of in a turnaround state for this business. So they're trying to convert the business from where it's at to some new horizons. So it wasn't just filling a role, but it was change management type activity. So I was like, okay, that's interesting to me. And he was aware that I was a fractional CMO, and so he knew that he knew enough that it sounded real.
Yep.
And so he's like, well, it sounds like we're heading in the right direction. Before we'll do any kind of meeting, we should probably just do a quick review of your resume, make sure it's going to be a fit for the screening process. And so I sent him my resume, which I do have.
Gosh, I don't even think I have one. Go on.
And he says, okay, thanks for sending this over. This is not going to clear the screening process. So
What?
I'm going to connect you with a specialist who knows their screening process. And it had a name.
Oh,
right? It's called like Scale.
Yeah.
SCALE.
Yeah.
And that person in 6 to 10 hours can get your resume ready for their screening process, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, so are you telling me that this is a service that you want me to pay for to fix a resume that I've literally never needed?
Correct.
I don't think I'm interested in that.
It's a scam.
That's
Don't you
what
think
it
it's a
was.
scam for the
for
the
sure.
resume service?
For sure.
Yeah, right. But how clever.
It is definitely a scam, but what was the most telling to me is the minute that there was something needed to change my resume.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy, I know what a recruiter gets paid.
Yeah.
And this guy, he wants to charge me
Right.
to fix a resume
Right.
for a screening process, which means that
Right.
why does a recruiter need a screening process?
Doesn't.
That's why you have a recruiter.
That's exactly
to
right.
have a specialized
They're the buffer.
screening process.
Yeah,
that
they're
is
the
the
buffer.
screening process.
Yeah.
And you contacted me.
Good for you. This begs a bigger question, though. Would you be interested in doing a CMO job again, or would you prefer to stay away from that?
I think it would be a hard sell.
I think you would have a really hard time going back to that. As a friend speaking here.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? You would be excellent. Don't get me wrong. You would be freaking phenomenal at it. I don't know if you'd be at peace at it.
Yeah, I think it would be a hard sell because even if the work is the same volume of work, like you're still putting in the same amount of time,
Right.
the balance and control
Yeah.
is so much better when you own the place.
Well, hell yeah.
Because you don't have to fill out anything to take a day off, right?
You don't have to worry about the Indians.
That's right.
And the Indians drive us all crazy. They really do.
And so that would be something I'd have to give up or change, adapt to, even if there's a lot of flexibility. But also the other thing that I think that would just shut it down is your dollar's worth more when it's your own business.
100%.
But here's what would make me consider it.
I want to hear this.
If the opportunity was sufficient income, so it was like, I can make this much working for myself,
Right.
and maybe you can either match that or exceed it by a little bit, something that sort of guarantees a floor that I'm comfortable with. But then there is bonus opportunities that, on performance, the success of the company, et cetera. But also the need is interesting enough that it's going to keep me engaged, that I'm going to want to work extra hard.
Would you also want shares in the company or something, or would you be okay without that if something like that were to present itself?
I mean, obviously that is more interesting than not, but there are opportunities that there's just not, other than stock options. It's just not really realistic.
Especially if we're talking big companies, right? That would be an option.
But what you find with,
That's interesting.
I've been a consultant more than I've ever worked for anybody.
Yeah.
So there are times where if you look at the size of project, there's a limit to how big that project can get until you've done it before, or at least how hard it is. It's harder to sell into it, right?
I get that.
So I would take an opportunity that expands my ability to come back to this fractional deal after 3-4 years.
Yeah, it would give you more bandwidth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, but just like giving me experience.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. I had this kid come by the office today as we're going through this recycling of our business. We have a piece of equipment that we don't need. It's a backup to a backup. So Lori went on to, what is that? I can't even remember where she sold it. It doesn't matter. So this kid's going back and forth. He's a kid. He's going back and forth with her, and he's trying to negotiate the price. I'm like, Lori, stand firm on the price. I just had the thing refurbished. What he's offering is less than what the refurbished was. So he bought it. He came by this morning at 8:30 to pick it up. married, works for United Healthcare. He's in a call center, and he started this little side business as a hustle. I said, how did you start this? And he said, well, we go to these farmers markets, and there's nothing for the guys on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I started making hats. I'm like, oh, how'd that go? He said, well, I was on Etsy, and they shut me down because I had 5 strikes. I said, why'd you get 5 strikes? He said, well, I didn't know that when I put Houston on there, I just put Houston. I didn't put the word basketball or football or fill in the blank. I said, you got caught with licensing? And he said, yes. He said, I got away with it for a while. Like, dude, that's not good. So he's a super nice young man, just trying to figure it out. I probably spent a half hour with him after he bought the machine, just walking him through. He's asking all the right questions. How'd you get started? Where do you find leads? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I walked away from that, and you said the word, and it made me think of this, consultant. I felt like, and I feel like I'm a consultant, not only to our clients, but even to the kid that's coming to buy a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I kind of like that. Like, I like it a lot.
Consulting is great. You just tell people what to do, and they do it.
Well,
or
you
they
hope
don't.
you're right. You hope they do it, right?
Yeah.
And get paid for it and walk away. So it's got me thinking about that.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have, would you say you have a lot of friends?
This is a really good question. I would say to you that I feel like I have a lot of friends, but it's not a numeric high number. I have a really strong circle of friends that I can call or count on.
And
makes sense.
Let's put it does. Let's put a number on it, like
I'd
just
say
for context.
Yeah, I would say 7.
Okay.
You're in there. I'm going to walk through it. So there's probably 9.
I hope it's the 7 listeners, basically.
Yeah, it's the 7 listeners. You're in there, so you're definitely in there. John, Brian, some casual friends, the guys I went to Mexico with, I would consider friends. I could pick up the phone and call those guys and say, hey, I've got an issue. And I'm excluding family because my brother's a really good friend of mine. Yeah. So I exclude him.
But they're kind of required to be there.
And my nephews, I'm super close to those kids. They're young adults. But so I exclude them. I would say really, truly, probably 7. How about you?
That's a really...
It's tough, isn't it?
It's tough to nail it down, but I would say that it's probably like 12.
So of the 12,
and I guess we should qualify. These are close friends, right? People
they,
that you
they
hang
know
out
your
with.
wife, they know your birthday or your anniversary.
Yep.
They know the intimacy of
you celebrate those things with them. Theirs, you celebrate their life changes.
So you
yours.
have 12.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
so
but
let's
I'd have to sit
qualify
here
it
and think about it.
Well, let's qualify it a little bit more. Of the 12, do you think you talk to those 12 regularly? Get that out of my mouth. On a monthly basis, like at least once a month or more. That's kind of how I use I knew this was coming, so I had to think about it.
Yes. So
That's
I
impressive.
I'll give you some. I feel like my friends end up in compartments.
Oh, yeah.
So there are friends that I hang out with in this setting, in that setting, or doing this thing or that thing. So you have your golf friends, and then you have your
business friends,
podcast friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if I broaden the aperture, I've got hundreds of friends, people that I genuinely can't consider friends, but I don't spend a lot of time with them, right? But the people that I spend a lot of time with, I have on Wednesdays, which ends up being maybe every other Wednesday. It might be 4 Wednesdays in a row, and then we miss a couple or whatever. I have these 3 guys that we've been getting together for several years, just Wednesday night hanging out, and then every once in a while we'll do a trip. Like we did years ago, we did a whitewater rafting trip. We did a ski trip that I didn't make, several camping trips, stuff like that.
Cool.
So that is, I counted 4 in my head, but that's 3 because I'm the 4th.
You're the 4th.
Or I'm the first. So,
I like how you did that.
Yeah.
First.
You better believe it. So then I have neighborhood friends, and for those that haven't listened to the back catalog, we have really great friendships in our neighborhood, and then some of them we genuinely speak to all the time. You know, weekly euchre games, bi-weekly poker games,
cookouts.
You know, getting together for cookouts. So these are people that I talk to quite frequently.
Yep.
And then there's podcast friends, which is at this time. Currently one other person.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Default.
And then
I would like to clarify, though, that friendship goes way back before the podcast.
yes,
For the listeners.
yeah,
And the viewers.
absolutely.
Just to make myself feel better.
Well, that's
Go on.
why the podcast exists.
That's
is because
right.
of
That's
an
right.
18-year plus friendship.
There you go. There you go. Go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
And then, of course, we get together with, as couples.
Yeah, wives. And
So looking at the landscape of my friendship, there are these very regular friend groups that don't intersect very much with each other, right? This group doesn't intersect with that group.
Right.
It's possible that it could happen, but it doesn't happen very much.
So I can say out loud so I can expand my 7 and get to maybe 10 or 11, but only 3 of you have crossed over into the other groups. And you've done it.
Yeah.
You've done it with like Brian and John. John's done it and Brian's done it. But I would say the 3 of you are the only 3 that I have brought you into other circles or semicircles.
But if I scroll through my phone, just look at texts.
Yeah.
There's probably people in there that I'm like, I wouldn't think to count them sitting here under pressure.
Right. Right.
But I have been texting this friend all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
But what I keep hearing from people is that it is hard to make and maintain friends as an adult.
I hear the same. I don't know if I agree with that. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with it
either. I don't. It might
in
be
my
hard
experience.
Yeah, I would agree with what you just said. Making friends, maybe. I would say maintaining friendship takes effort.
Yeah,
you don't get to just say we're friends and not do anything.
That's right.
It's like being married and saying I'm not going to participate in the
relationship.
relationship.
Let's think of some podcast guests. We've had some friends on the show.
Amy
Woodall. I feel when she came on, I just was just excited to have her on the show because I feel a long standing kinship with her.
For sure.
Like she could have been a sister that I grew up with.
Right.
Like we share a lot of personality traits in common. We're very different in so many ways.
Yeah.
And when I first joined Rainmakers, she was running a certain one of the events that I joined into that event. So
Amy's a cool person.
But we never talk, right? So we talk to each other once a year, maybe.
Yeah.
So
half the time I see her with you.
Right.
We go to a networking event and she's there with Nikki or somebody, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and she's really good friends with my wife. I mean, Lori talks to her way more than you and I talk to her. But to your point, when I'm around her, I feel like I've known her forever.
Right.
Like she's like a family member.
So what makes somebody a friend if you have these people that are like light touch in terms of the frequency and the level of depth that you might go to in your conversations? Like
that's hard.
How do you qualify somebody as a friend or not a friend?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just know. I don't know how you qualify that. Do you have qualifiers for that? I don't.
My scope is really broad.
I want to hear this.
And my wife's is really narrow.
Yeah, Lori's is really narrow too, by the way.
Carrie is a very close friends.
Same
right?
with Lori.
She will have very few and they will be very close.
Yeah.
And then mine is I have connections that I've made through business mostly, just because that's a frequent touch point for connecting with people. And I consider some of those people, like I just mentioned, Amy, and there are others that land on that list.
Stacey.
Just like fabulous friends.
Yeah.
Like, I have such a great connection to them. Barely ever see them, but when we see each other, it's a great time.
Right.
And so to me, I have this I like everybody. It's very easy for me to make friends.
Yeah, we know. It's not hard. I know. I get that.
And so
how do you qualify that?
My qualification is I admire them and they admire me back. Or at least I get the impression that they do.
Okay, so you said something. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because you said something not that long ago that I did not know off camera about our friendship. about you knew it was real when, right?
That was on
Was it
the
on?
record.
Oh, it was. Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was on the record like 4 episodes ago.
Oh, there you go. So there was a qualifier there. In your mind, that there was a qualifier because it started with business, right, and led into personal. So I think you're onto something. I just don't know how to qualify it.
Yeah.
Because I have lots of friends,
Right.
but I don't know if I would say they're close friends.
Well, I feel like when I first got into the entrepreneurial space, I'm starting my business. I said, I need to know some people. I need to make some connections. I had no connections.
Yeah, same.
Or very few.
Right.
So I joined Rainmakers, a networking group that is in Indianapolis.
Boy, they keep getting plugged here today. I feel like they should be a sponsor.
They could be a sponsor
Okay,
very
go
soon. So I started going to networking events. I'm just trying to sling business. I'm trying to get some new clients. And that worked, but I also developed some really, really good friends that I never did business with.
Yeah, same.
And never expected to.
Right.
And so that changed my view. That experience in starting a business changed my view on friends.
I'm going to share something with you that I think gets underrated, and that is, and I heard this recently, when you meet people, they see something about you, specifically you, Daniel, the happiness, the glow, the easiness.
The great skin, the straight teeth.
Perfect hair. Am I missing anything?
Yeah,
but they
keep
see
going.
that. They see that,
let you know when
and
you're
they
done.
say, I want a piece of that.
Yeah.
I want some of whatever it is you have.
Right.
And maybe it's your relationship with your wife, maybe it's your faith, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's all of it mixed together that brings that out in you. And people gravitate towards that. And I find that to be more true than not. I know I saw that. I wondered I thought it was safe, but good call. And I think people I think when you meet people, especially in business or in networking, people gravitate towards that, or they feel it or sense it, and they just kind of nudge over to you and they want to know more about you or learn more about you. And I think when we're all authentic with who we are, that's when really good things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, really good friendships happen.
And I feel like most people find it hard to be authentic in certain settings.
Hell yes. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Yeah. So if you have an easy time making friends and you're at a point in life where you don't need add to that number.
Yes. I knew this was coming.
I have an easy time making friends. I also don't have a mandate to grow that number. Right. What do most people deal with? What do you hear from people around you?
Man, that's a great question. Most of my friends are saying they don't want more friendship. They're happy with the little insular circle that they've created. They don't want any more than that. And when we dig into that, every once in a while we'll talk about it. It's like, hey man, I only have so many weekends. I can't be inviting 17 different couples to whatever, right?
Yeah.
It could be the club, it could be the lake, it could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't want to, and Lori's really good at this. Lori says, I don't want to divert and dilute that much myself across the spectrum.
Right.
I want to stay whole with this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can appreciate that.
Well, and if you think about the times that you get together and hang out with people, you can have your big party that is, fancy and exciting.
Right.
And then you can have your small intimate gathering that's a few people. And then you can have your just relaxed hanging out with 1, 2, 3, 4 people.
That's right.
And you get so much more connection out of those smaller gatherings.
Yeah.
Because you're able to focus more of your time.
Yeah.
With that few number of
for
people.
sure. And don't you feel like, I know you both have friendships with other couples where you maybe don't see them for a long period of time and you get together and you're like, you picked up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Like time is irrelevant because the relationship is so on point.
Yeah.
Right.
And those are not always the close friends in terms of like
correct
time spent,
same.
frequency, that kind of stuff.
We're in that same boat. We have Doug and Sarah Brewer, who, if you're listening, we love you.
They're of course listening.
They're awesome. They spend a lot of time traveling with their business, and they spend time down in Florida now during the winters. And when we get together, it's like picking up right where we left off, but we maybe see them twice a year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's not a lot, but I feel a complete and total connection with both of them, like brother and sister, if you will. And Lori, I know, feels the same way because we talk about it. So, yeah, those relationships are hard. And when you try to find those, I don't think that works. If you go seeking what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone that's had success with that, especially from the male side.
Yeah. Well, I think that there is a friendship pandemic.
I do.
I think that what I hear from people around me, that I just, like I said earlier, and you said, I don't agree with it or I don't experience that myself,
Right.
is that people have a hard time making friends as adults. So you start to have kids, you've got to spend time managing those kids. They're in sports and middle school and high school. That's very time consuming.
Yeah, that's true.
And so unless you have people that have the same pathway that they follow because their kids are the same age, in the same class, going to the same things, it's hard to establish a friendship.
I would think
and then it's hard to get together, right? Because you got to manage all your schedules.
Right.
Unless you just happen to have the same number of kids of the same gender and all the same activities, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, stay with that for a second. How many times have you gone out on a given night? Doesn't even have to be a weekend with said friends, and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to do this. Like, not only that, but also add, I've got to be something I don't want to be
right
in this night, and I just versus I can just meet up with this group of friends and I just get to be who I am. Right?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
have to think about
and
it.
if you're having a bad day, you can be the lesser
That's right.
version of you.
That's right. And everyone's cool with it.
Right.
No one's like, "Well, you're being an asshole," or "You're you're not being social,"
or you're too tired. What's going on?
Right.
But you have to be on with the people that are in the part of your orbit that requires some.
So I can't even believe. So I guess we do qualify it. The more we talk about it, we intentionally, as a couple, work on scheduling things with people that we feel that what we're talking about. We don't feel like you have to put on airs or be up.
Yeah.
You can just be, right?
Right.
So if Lori's not feeling great and we've already got it going down that we're supposed to meet up for dinner with you and Carrie, she's going because she knows that she can just be who she is. She doesn't have to worry about trying to be something to a new group of friendships that are. So I guess
I think that is a normal occurrence for people that have some kind of medical condition or whatever it is that complicates the process. Or they're just introverts, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear
and you've never met an introvert that you haven't become friends with.
I've heard about them. I've read about them.
You've seen them, but you've converted them. Go on. Sorry.
I don't think you can convert an
you
introvert.
Cannot.
So when I hear that people have trouble making friends as adults, I understand the reasons why, but I think that there is a kind of pressure that people put on themselves on the way that they have to meet a friend.
Yeah.
And it gets worse when you talk about dating. So let's say that you've reached somewhere in middle age and you're divorced and now you're
back at it.
So you're back on the market, and what do you do first? Well, if it's 2026, you probably grab your phone, sign up for some app.
Yep.
And then maybe you pay if it's required to get the hotter people. And
is that how it works? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never used one of the apps.
You're in marketing, you would know more than I would. Go on.
And then you're fast tracking the dating process because how are you supposed to meet people?
Man, wow.
And every time I hear that story, I remember somebody telling me, I can't date the people I work with because that's complicated.
Yeah.
I can't, I work a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, a busy person.
Right.
I can't do social things because I have no time for it unless it's related to business in some way because it's, a networking event or whatever. And then there's that whole barrier you have to put up to kind of keep your professional, exterior. Yeah. And every time I hear that, I'm like, I get that busyness makes it hard, but to default to a dating app
No
just
way.
makes no sense to me.
Audience, I'm shaking my head. No way.
The
No.
quality
That's
of the
ick.
friend that you can develop without getting that little bit of chemistry first,
right.
you just can't get the same quality
Yeah, I
unless you're
totally
lucky.
agree.
It's like playing
Yeah.
roulette.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
get lucky.
Yeah, you could 1 out of a million, but most likely that's not going to happen.
And the thing is that people get married that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And they meet someone that they love and they
Yeah.
stay with forever.
Yeah.
But to get there, you have to basically burn yourself out. I've never heard from anyone.
Can you imagine?
Every person I've talked to has said dating on the apps is terrible.
Yeah,
It is
I can't
absolutely
even
atrocious. And guess what? Every single one of them has gone back to it.
Yeah. Lori has a girlfriend that to this day has been single ever since I've known her for 18, 19 years, maybe 20 years now. And she's been on and off that like a yo-yo, just like you
Yeah.
described.
Well, and I think about,
There's a downside to that, though, if I may interrupt just for a
Yeah.
second. She did meet a couple of men that we both really liked. And matter of fact, one of them did a bicycle race with me across the state of Indiana, and I even shared a room with him. He was a solid dude. I mean, really a great guy. And I think those apps, this is where I'm going with this. Those apps can create the thought that maybe there's someone just a little bit better, just a little bit
yeah.
more of what I want.
Yeah, because
Like,
it's transactional.
yes.
Yeah.
And so when she broke up with him, I wasn't pissed, but I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I felt like she was at a restaurant, a la carte, selecting the things she
Mhm.
wanted.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to her about it, saying that's not how it works. I
Yeah.
mean, get rid of the app and go back to what you and I are talking about,
Yeah.
old-fashioned dating. It's not like Lori got to choose who I was. Matter of fact, I think I said to her early on in the relationship, I'm a pain in the ass to be around. I can be really difficult.
And she agrees.
She does. And she's like, I wish I would have listened to you more. But can you imagine if you put that on a dating app today? I mean, that whatever check marks or whatever they do.
Well, here's what's beautiful about
It's fascinating.
networking. So the way that I learned that dating apps are bullshit is by networking.
Oh, explain.
Because when I joined a networking group, and then I participated in the chamber and these other things. Rotary.
Did you get your renewal for the chamber, by the way? It just came across today.
That's a great question. I don't know.
I just got it today.
I don't know.
Sorry.
It might be automated.
Oh, there you go. Go on. Sorry. So networking.
So I learned early on that you just meet people in a social event.
Yep.
You set up a coffee with the ones that seem like there's some
Right.
opportunity to connect in some way.
Right.
And then you take it from there.
Yeah.
And since I was focused on developing referral-based relationships, not clients,
Yep.
then I didn't have to be a salesperson
the
to
best.
meet with anybody.
Right.
So then I end up meeting people like you and others, and other people, maybe none of them better than you, but some that are pretty
Not
great.
today, anyway.
Some that are pretty great.
Uh huh.
And then to me, it just seems so obvious that you can find out in a few minutes of spending time with someone if you ever want to see them again.
Oh yeah. Easily.
And it's like, okay, this guy's a jackass. I never want to have coffee with him. So if he suggests it, I'm going to ghost him.
Yeah.
I've never ghosted anybody, but
Me either. But to your point, that kid I met today, if he texted me and said, "Hey, are you available for a cup of coffee?" I would meet with him instantly because he was nice, polite. He's got a desire to want to do something. I'm intrigued by him. So
you've already got that soft opening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's a good point. That's a really solid point.
So I feel like people that are in the dating world should just go to church or join a networking group.
It's talked about, but very few do it because this stupid app, I point to the phone.
Yeah.
People fall back on that. Like that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
I would not do that.
But it's a shortcut, and it's
for sure.
not a good one.
So let's talk about more in depth with your 12 friends. When you're going through a crisis in your life, whatever that may be, and you don't get to go through life without one or two or three. Of the 12, are you saying to the audience that you could call any one of those 12, or is there a subgroup within the 12 that really would step up to the plate and say, "I'm here for you"?
That's what I'm qualified to
That
be
is
in
it.
the 12.
Oh,
is
wow.
that's someone that I would
Wow.
call in
Got it.
a tough moment.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there may be, people have different
Yeah.
roles in terms of your connection to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some that it's like, hey, if we just want to hang out, it's just really easy to call this group.
Yep.
And then there's like, well, if we just had something really emotionally hard happen and we need to talk about it,
Yeah.
that may not be the same person.
Yeah.
Right. But the comfort of calling that person, it's not that I don't have comfort with calling any one of those 12 people.
Right.
It's that there's some that are just better at the emotional
Yeah.
thing. And I never get emotional, obviously, but I read about people getting emotional. And then there's some that are really good with, they'll do all the planning for the, the evening or whatever.
Yep. So we're touching on some subjects that are close to me right now because my good friend John has been going through some stuff and he's working through it, just self-awareness and just being a better person. And I've always known we're close, but I know we're close when that said friend picks up the phone to call you to share with you the progress they're making.
Yeah.
And not me asking, but them proactively sharing. And so when you said that, I had to think for a second. The people that I would say that I would be able to pick up the phone and call in a crisis are the very same people that are sharing their struggles with life with me right now, unsolicited.
Yeah.
But I think that's also part of being a really good friend is being available, and then also, how do you
a willingness to be open or vulnerability
for sure, which is what this whole thing is founded on.
How vulnerable can you get with your core friends?
Yeah, I've shared all the skeletons. Yeah, I've shared the skeletons. There's not there. I'm sure there was in the beginning. Like, do I really want to let you know? Do I want to share this with you right now because you're sharing this with me? So I think we're all probably a little jaded or
guarded.
Yeah. But I think as the friendship endures, you open up and you share. And those friendships, I mean, those are some of the best friendships, right?
So what is the value of a friendship when you're well established in your life?
Yeah.
And within that value, is there a need for, you could literally have just one friend that's a really good friend and everybody else is just an acquaintance. Is that a sustainable life?
No. You and I talk about this all the time. Diversity is a sustainable life. Mm-hmm. Finding one person that thinks and agrees and does what you do or that's always on your side is not a great way to live your life. It's just homogenous. There's no fun in that. We all need, not me, when I say me, collectively, all of us, we need diversity in our friendships. Yeah. We need to see things differently and feel things differently to make us better people.
When I was, kind of going through a stage of growth and somewhere in my mid-30s, I remember that. So I feel like you need different things from different people. Mm-hmm. Your wife or significant other can provide certain things that only a spouse, only a really close partner can provide. Yep. But that is inevitably not everything. Mm-hmm. There's also something, we're just talking as two guys, there's times that you need to get together with the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get something different out of that connection. Something different in terms of like recreation, enjoyment, things you're interested in, but also in terms of the way that you connect.
Or maybe things you don't want to burden your wife with or your spouse.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Exactly. And then that can, I believe, vary in different ways. So for example, I remember there was this one period of time where I really wanted to process some, basically philosophical worldview type stuff. Yep. Okay. And this was on the heels of revising the way I viewed religion and all that kind of stuff. But it was not related to religion so much as just philosophy in general.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't think of anyone that could tolerate the conversation where we're splitting hairs on every single detail of every single thing, except for one person.
And that was the go-to person.
And this was the go-to person who I grew up with him as a friend of the family's, friend of me and my sisters. He was kind of a jackass.
Yeah.
We had, intermittent, falling out and coming back together as friends. So he was, kind of a complicated person. And he ended up being my basically emailing back and forth partner to just keep track or keep up on these topics that we were, a discussion that we were having over time.
Yeah.
And to date, I have known close to zero, and maybe it's an actual zero, but very few people that actually would do that at all. Like have a conversation that is drawn out and detailed in that way.
Yep.
Sort of like we're writing the Federalist Papers or something.
Yeah. Wow.
And so,
it's kind of cool.
And so he was the only one that was, had, the interest in having that kind of conversation. So, and I'm going to give you an example of one of those topics that were subtopics that were inside of that greater conversation. And it was the last one. So one day, I don't hear from him for a minute, but I thought of something that I needed to get some feedback on. So I said, okay, let me ask you about attention deficit disorder or those kinds of mental illnesses. I said, how can you have an attention deficit disorder unless you first start by defining what an order is? And I knew that would go into a long philosophical conversation.
That's a loaded question.
Because I'm thinking of this whole notion of the way that we put people in a box because we expect them to fit a certain mold. And when they don't, we say, oh, they're not healthy and we need to give them some kind of medicine that numbs that part of their brain.
Sure.
And then what I was experiencing is I was finding that I would be incredibly obsessive about a thing for a period of time. I would master that thing and then move on.
Yeah.
And so people would say, you have ADD. And I would say, no, I have a superpower. It's not,
of course you would.
It's not I don't mind if it's called attention deficit, but it's not a disorder.
Right.
So anyway, I posed this question to him, and then he doesn't respond. And I was like, he normally responds quickly because he was, long story short, he was on disability, so he was available all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So he doesn't write back. And then a few weeks go by, and I message his sister, who I also knew since being a kid. And I said, hey, how's your brother doing? I haven't heard from him. Is he okay? And she calls me, and she says, no.
Oh, no.
He's not okay.
Oh, no.
He's been arrested.
Oh.
And so what ends up happening is he goes to jail, and it was months later that I find out that he was convicted, and now he's in prison for, this was years ago, but it was like a 24-year sentence.
Holy smokes.
So I haven't talked to him since.
Wow.
Except for he wrote a letter to basically everybody he knows, and so I exchanged responses with him.
Do you still write to him now or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I stopped,
Yeah.
and the reason why is because of what he went to jail for. And
sorry.
And I said, I'm going to be too busy raising my girls to be involved in these conversations.
Yeah.
So I will leave it at that so as not to defame him.
Yeah, sure.
But ultimately, I knew that he was a complicated person. I knew that he was not he was.
That may be the best understatement so far this year, and it's early in the year.
I knew he was not a role model.
Yeah.
But he fit in this corner of need that I had that nobody else could fit in.
Right. It's funny where you can find those.
Yeah.
Right. As you're talking about this, I have two really close friends close ever since I came out of college. One of them was my mentor. And Mark used to say to me that his closest friends would be his pallbearers. That's how he would rate his friendship. as years would go by, he would always say, Michael, you're going to be on my,
You got to
that
have 6 friends.
Yeah. So, and he would
And
always
they have to outlive you.
Yes. And his wife, Darla, they're just lovely people. She would always comment on that, like, you're one of the 6 or whatever. And I always found that endearing, charming, warming, but I also really took it to heart with what he was saying, that you're lucky to go through life if you can find 6 people to carry you, to hold you up, to raise you up. So there were probably more metaphors in there than what he was trying to get to, but I really appreciated what he said. And then the other guy, who's more tongue-in-cheek, said, your friendships, especially if you own a business, is your board of directors. They're the people that keep you on point. They keep you from straying left or right or getting sideways with a situation. Yeah. Or they have the ability to, right? Yeah. If you have the willingness to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling, and that's really hard to do as a business owner. You know that, I know that. But we've all been there. And when it's a true friend and you reach out, they don't make you feel bad. They're not trying to judge you. They're hearing what the problem is, and they're trying to offer a solution. And that is invaluable. So when we talk about friendship and qualifiers, man, I struggle with it because of everything I just said. I mean, it's hard. I've got a friend from my childhood that I talk to probably 2 or 3 times a year. And man, he's like a brother. I mean, we just pick up where we left off. We grew up together. But I don't see him. Yeah. I talk to him. I maybe see him once every 3 or 4 years. It's weird, right? Yeah. Do you ever feel like there's competition between friends? Okay, I can't believe I'm on this list. Yeah, I used to think that. Only because of one particular friend made it feel like it was competition. I've never, ever... Yeah, the person who says, thanks for the invite every time you talk about what you did last weekend. That's the guy, right? That's the person that I'm referring to. Or that person is out and about and calls you, and he's not rubbing it in, but he's kind of rubbing it in a little bit. I'm out here and you're there and blah, blah, blah. And we didn't invite you. So I've never really felt that, but I'm human, so occasionally, every once in a blue moon, I'm like, hey, man, why didn't I get an invite on that? Yeah. Or I get hey, we're doing you a favor. We're not inviting you on this. I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And then I realized, because I did struggle with this recently, I talked to Lori about it, and she said, it's not about you. You know that, right? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Of course it is. She's like, no, you narcissistic knucklehead. It's not. It's about him. He's letting you know that he cares about you and that he's somewhere, but he wants to share that experience with you, and this is just his way of sharing. Yeah. Just his way of letting you know. But it's like, oh, that's a good perspective. Or he's letting you know that this wedding is going to be boring as shit, and you don't want to come to it. That too. So I've learned to accept that, but I would say overall, jealousy is not an emotion that I'm familiar with friendships. I would say when I was younger, like in junior high or high school, you're trying to have your best friend. Mm-hmm. And then I realized what I said earlier is that your friendships just evolve. Yeah. And they become that. You can't say you're going to be my best friend. And occasionally you might find that you feel like you value someone more than they value you, and that can hurt a little bit. Yeah. But again, to people that have feelings, obviously I wouldn't be on that list. But I find that, I remember somebody saying something about so-and-so hanging out with so-and-so. Yeah. And I was like, it was presented intentionally, kind of as a joke to say, hey, you should be jealous because they're hanging out, you weren't invited. Right. And I said, no, I'm glad they connected. Yeah. I'm glad that they're able to spend that time together, and they probably needed that extra time to get to know each other. 100%. I totally agree with that. I feel. And I still do that to this day. The friends that I talked about cross-mingling, I do that because of what we just talked about. I think there's some fun to be. So when I introduced John to Brian and Brian to John, I knew those two would have fun and they'd do things without me, and that was the whole point in connecting them, because I thought that would be a good connection or a good outlet for the two of them. I agree with that. That if you approach friendship from a place of love, kindness, and respect for the individual, it's hard to be jealous. Yeah. Right? Jealousy comes from when you're pretending about something, or you're fictitiously wanting this to be something that it's not. And that's usually where jealousy comes into play. Not always. I'm not a major or a psychiatrist by any nature, but I would think that's where that comes from. I don't know, but that yeah.
I
that's where
think
I'm
when
at with it.
somebody is secure in themselves,
There you go.
they feel good
Better
about
said.
who they are.
Yeah.
Then, especially if you're very self-aware, and I don't know that everybody is naturally self-aware,
I would agree with that.
but I feel like, you might know, I know that I
yeah.
am too much
Yeah.
in this way.
Right.
And
right.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
Like I know that I bring a lot of intensity
Yeah.
to a friendship or an engagement with, participation at a party, whatever it is, a conversation. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And I know that that's not right for everybody, and that's not right for every moment. And yeah, I'm happy with who I am, so it makes it easy for me to be a good friend to someone and be okay with not being there if I'm not needed.
So you and I have a mutual friend, Turo, who eventually will come on this damn podcast.
Yeah, he's scheduled.
Oh, good, because I give him a hard time about it.
Yeah, I think
it's like I've got breakfast with him next week. So I said I'll do breakfast, but dude, where are you? So I'm glad to hear you signed up. He had the greatest line when I first met Ken like 15 years ago. And it was through business. I liked him as a person. I knew we would be friends. I just knew we would, whatever happened with business, I knew we'd still hold on to a friendship. And he said something to me that I loved. He's an East Coast guy. I'm not looking for friends. I got enough. I just remember thinking, I'm sorry, did I have a sign somewhere that said I'm looking for friends? What are you talking about? He said, no, I like that about you. I'm just letting you know. I'm good. And I'm like, yeah, I think I am too. But you know what's really fascinating is that as we evolve in our relationships with our spouses, with our businesses, there's some seasonality to friendships, right? In finality to some of those friendships.
Yeah.
Like Lori introduced me to one of her girlfriends that she met 3 or 4 years ago on a trip that Amy does with Des.
Yeah.
They do those
I see
retreats.
that trip online all the time. It looks
so
really cool.
Amy did that, or Lori did that, and she was room with a woman by the name of Susan Mosley. Lori loved Susan. Susan loved Lori. 2 peas in a pod. They laughed a lot. They had a great time. She came back and said we should have dinner with them. I'm like, okay. So we go to dinner, and I meet Brent, and they both went to Ball State. They were there before me a little bit, and he was an SAE. So we just kind of hit it off, right? You have to fast forward 3 years later. We just had dinner with them last night. They're lovely. I enjoy their company. I don't have to worry about everything that we just talked about, right? We just get together. If someone's having a bad day, no one cares. It's okay. And it's okay to cancel. I never thought this stage of my life I would be bringing new friendships like that into the circle, but it happens, right? And others disappear from the circle. Yeah. They move on.
Yeah.
Lori's got a girlfriend, just 2, that blow my mind. When they end a friendship, they write a letter. They intentionally let you know the friendship is over. And it's like, holy shit, I couldn't do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you'd rather
let it
ghost.
Yeah, well, no, I just let it dissipate. Let it just fade in the sunset, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that hardcore.
I think that...
Could you do that?
I think that there would have to be a very strong reason why it needs to end officially.
I guess you did do that, like the guy that you were talking about.
No.
Oh, I thought you said...
Well, I guess I did. Yeah, you're right.
You did. You said, I don't
but he's
have
in
to...
jail. It was easy.
Yeah, but... Okay, but you did take a hard stance and say, we're done. Like, I don't have time for this.
And basically, what it came down to is I wouldn't decline, when he gets released, I wouldn't decline a message from him or whatever. But what I'm not going to do is lick a stamp. I'm not going to lick a stamp for that motherfucker.
Do inmates have access to internet? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably not.
Or maybe very limited.
It might be a little sketchy if you give them access to the internet. It's fascinating. So you did do what I'm talking about. But Stacy's point, Lori's girlfriend, was, hey, man, I don't want to Mickey Mouse around with this. I don't have time for the wallowing or, the dismantling of the friendship over the course of 6 to 12 months. Like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm moving on.
But I
love that.
I
just don't have.
I remember this one time when somebody was like really looking for friends, and it was somebody that.
How do you really look for friends?
Well, this was very obvious. So it was somebody that is probably 10 years younger than me, has kids much younger, so they,
Sure.
at a different place in life and all that. And they were just like pushing to get together as couples.
Got it.
And I'm like, I don't know, man.
I don't like that.
You're on the other side of town.
Yeah.
It's
You're
gonna be
pushing me.
complicated.
Yeah, I'm not pushing you. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can make that happen. And it was almost like the attempt was so heavy-handed that it was just like, I know this isn't going to work because that's all you want out of it as a best friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, but no thank you. I want to talk about, what do you do when your friend's hurt, right?
When they're hurting.
Yeah, when they're hurt. Like, we both have an example of that right now. They're hurt, they're hurting, they're not in a good place.
Yeah.
How do you, man, that's not easy, is it?
It's, I'm like a robot. I have excellent people skills, but they're programmed, right? So it's
Let me
all
get
fake.
this straight. You're like a robot, perfect people skills, perfect hair, teeth. What else? Something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So I practice empathy with absolute precision.
I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Well, but nobody knows the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Go on.
So how would you know if your AI best friend was? how do you know I'm not a robot?
How do I know
Literally a
Eve
robot.
is not hurting right now? Yeah. Good point.
So I have this longtime friend that I grew up with that I haven't seen in years. We were never really close. She was more friends with my sisters, and then I hung out with the guys, and it's big families, and like this is a group of multiple families that we all grew up in the same youth group and all this stuff. And we exchanged comments on some topic on Facebook, which I haven't done a lot of recently, but I did the other day. Comment on something, and I was like, I can see that she's dealing with some stuff and has gone through some change. So I just sent her a message and I said, I can see that things have changed for you and wonder how you're doing. And so we end up getting this conversation, and she lays out some weighty things that she's going through.
Oh, wow.
And she said, I know it's a lot. And as soon as I read that, I was like, no, it's not a lot. It is not a lot. It is, I know it's heavy for you to carry it, but you can share that with me.
That's awesome.
And
that's great.
And she may even be listening to this episode.
That's great, Daniel. Good for you.
But I just think that, sometimes people are afraid to open up to someone because it's going to be too much. That person's going to back off.
Yeah.
And I think that is the problem with, people are not very good at being friends when everything is on the internet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm uncomfortable, I'll just not reply or disappear into the background somewhere.
Or I don't agree with your political stance, which is...
Yeah.
Right?
Which to me is a ridiculous basis for friendship.
But good for you for saying that.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people, myself included, to open up because I want to present that everything's great or good, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you're hurting, it's really difficult to overcome that. And then there's this judgment that plays in the back of my mind. Like, if I share this, are they going to see me the same way? Will I be viewed in the same light, or will I be viewed differently? And I think real friendship doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
They care about you.
I think most of the time, those things that you feel are going to lower your rung actually raise it for that friend. I think so too. I think that friend says, I didn't know that you were going through this. Yeah. But I have a lot of respect for you for sharing that.
Yeah. And I think it forces, it's kind of like, it's not kind of, it is a lot like playing cards. Mm-hmm. I've shown you my hand. And if you're a real friend, you're going to show me your hand at some point in time. You may not show me right here and now, but if I'm exposing whatever.
Yeah, you know that it's safe to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times, if you want to have friends, you should show yourself friendly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bible, but that's where that comes from. But
Is that thing you've read?
I've read it multiple times. Yes, it is. But I mean,
It's so true though, man.
it's very much the right way of putting it. You know,
It is.
you cannot expect somebody to show you respect if you're not starting by showing that respect.
So do you think you can walk through life without friends?
No way.
Yeah, I don't
No
think so either.
I think that from a standpoint of social life, you need the engagement of the fun.
Yeah.
You need the, when we were kids, we called it play. Well, it's still play. We just use different words.
Right.
You need that.
Yeah.
But then you also need someone that you can say, hey, we didn't win the lottery like we thought we were going to. That will say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
Nobody
all right.
wins the lottery.
Yeah, it's all right.
Somebody that will say, I've been through that before, or I haven't been through that before, and that must really be hard, and I'm sorry that you're going through that.
I was watching an interview with the current CEO for Walmart, who's about to retire and resign his position here shortly. And he started with the company right out of college. And he's been there, and he started out in the warehouse in high school and then through college. Great story. But he's so humble. And the interviewer asked him, how do you deal with all the stress and all of what comes with being a CEO? And he said, the three things that we always talk about: I'm blessed with family, faith, and friendship. Mm-hmm. And he really talked about friendship and how important that was to him to be able to disengage from being just CEO and just be with my friends, and they don't see me any differently. And I think that's really the hardest part of having real friends, is that sometimes when you've had success in your life and friendship comes into your life, the perception of you, the individual, can be jaded because you're wondering, are they my friend because of where I stand today or where I sit today or what I can bring to them at a later date because of that friendship? And his point was, these are my lifelong friends, right? Childhood friends, like family. Yeah. They really do fall into that family category.
I want to ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
Family, faith, and friendship. I think that everyone needs to have those three things, but they might be different.
Agreed.
So, for example, and I'll just ask your perspective on this. So, for example, family. Somebody could be an orphan, never had a real family.
Right.
They establish some kind of family somewhere along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Or somebody may not be a religious person, may not believe, or just be at a place where they are religious, but they're not religious in a popular way, right? They're in America and they're Muslim or something like that.
Right.
But this is especially relevant if you have no religion at all. And then friendship, that's where that fun, play, hang out, but also shoulder to cry on if you need it, lives. And sometimes the family and the friendship can overlap. Do you think, I know your answer is yes, but do you think that everybody needs those three things, even if they take on different forms?
For sure. And I think all three things can come from one entity. I think that family and friendship can come from faith, just as I think you can seek family and faith within friendship. In other words, that friend can become like family. Mm-hmm. And because of that relationship, you have faith in that person or what it brings. So I think it's like a circle. I don't think you have one without the other, truthfully. Yeah. I really don't.
And I think the idea of faith, the way that I'm thinking of that, is something that is not faith in each other, but there's some kind
higher
of
spirit,
transcendence that John Arnold brought up when he was on the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a something that feels like a bigger connection or a bigger something to believe in that's beyond us as individuals.
Hell yes.
And I think that even if you don't believe in God,
right,
which occasionally you run into somebody who doesn't, I might be one of those people.
Maybe.
You still now your doubt is that I don't believe in God.
No, that's not my doubt at all. But
I think people need that as well.
Yeah, I do too. Here's where I'm coming from on people who don't believe or don't have faith. I say, especially if you're my friend, well, you have to have a little belief because I believe and we're friends. So there has to be a little of that. You can't get away from it, right? But I hear what you're saying. People talk about the universe. They talk about the attraction. There's a lot of different names to get ballyhooed around. I agree with all of it. Yeah. That when John Arnold sat with us in that podcast, man, I felt that. I mean, I genuinely felt like there's something bigger going on right there with us. Had nothing to do about do I believe or don't I believe, but it was about the conversation.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was super cool.
Well, they say that, I don't know who they is, but somebody says that
Someone.
consciousness is, it's this thing that's not understood very well.
Yeah.
And some people hypothesize that it might be something that's fundamental to the existence of the universe or, whatever,
Right.
the existence of existence itself. And that to think that we each have our individual consciousness is an illusion. Like consciousness is a single thing of which we are participant in.
Yep.
Right. And I think that
One
that's
big
an
cloud.
interesting thought that you cannot prove or disprove.
Right. I
So-
kind of buy into that, though. I mean, there's this macro consciousness out there, and we're just a micro piece of that, pulling from it, from the cloud. This is my little piece. But man, with self-awareness, you start to see things so differently. And self-awareness comes from family and friendship, right? You start to, if you really want to be above and beyond, I'm going to say you want to be above and beyond yourself, but what I really want to say is that you want to grow as a person. You want to be more than what you are today. And you are, Carrie is, Lori is, our friends are. Everyone I know wants to be more than what they are today. And I think that's a beautiful place.
Well, I want to end with just pointing out that I think you could have been a better friend. and here's why I say that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Because
Where did I fail you?
Because you didn't bring up the newsletter at all.
Well, dude, I didn't get it. I was going to bring it up. Honest to God, I did not get the email. It's somewhere. I got to log in. I am not exaggerating. If you go through my phone and look at emails received or deleted, it's not there. And it makes no sense because sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. And I thought about it on the drive over. I was like, oh, shit, I didn't see it.
Well, you missed
so what
a
was
good
the
one,
what was the
probably.
topic? So I'll look at it
We were
tonight.
just talking about the Millennium movie. Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen the Millennium movie. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I- My hesitation is I don't want to necessarily give money for it. So if I can watch it for
free,
no extra charge. I
Yeah.
mean, if I watch it on
Something you
Amazon or
stream.
something,
Yeah.
that's fine.
how many Rotten Tomatoes has it gotten? Do you know?
So it has like record high Rotten Tomatoes. It's like a 5%,
Record high.
5% Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. I never pay attention to how that works.
I don't know how it works
So the
either.
critics are like almost 100% bad. And the viewers are almost 100% good.
Oh, come on.
It is unbelievable.
Talk about a political divide.
Yeah. So but the interesting thing about that rating is if people were rating it as a movie, they would rate it as a movie.
Yeah.
But they're rating it as a
Of
movement.
course. Yeah, of course.
They're rating it as a figure of the movement that they're a part of.
Yeah.
So I don't believe the viewer ratings.
Yeah.
I'm more interested, because it's funny, in laughing at the critics saying this movie was so damn bad.
I hope they're right.
There's not even some conservative, MAGA critic that could have at least given it a good rating.
That's what I'm saying. I hope they're right. Meaning, I hope they get it right, as in really critically looking at the movie, not from a political stance. So I hope they do get that right.
Yeah. So I talked a
I'll
little
watch
bit
it.
about that today.
I'll-
You'll have to.
Yeah, I'm
You'll
sure
have to
you
dig for that email.
I'm sure you were not biased at all. in
No,
that.
absolutely not.
It's not within you. Good conversation, though.
Yeah,
friendship.
I think so. I almost cried twice, but I made it through.
And we don't have tissue. We should get a tissue box.
Just
with
in case we cry.
And put Truthake on it. I'll do
Yeah.
that. I'll take care of that. I got
All
you.
right.
All right, man.
Well, I hope everybody has a great week.
Lots of love, man. Cheers.